Hello, welcome to the Roy Rogers channel with your host, Roy Rogers. Anyway, today we have a Roy Rogers alert. First off, we have tons of news going on today. First off, our breeder is here. Bloody White Wolf, would you like to say hello?
Hello, I am the breeder.
Yes, he's very good in IVs and EVs and breeding and stuff, and he'll give you some really good breeding tips. But meanwhile, while me and TJ and Yododar are going to be figuring out a date for an interview, we are going to go through all the alerts. First off, Lunoon. Remember with UU? Guess what? It was moved to OU. And one more alert. Diglett is now banned. So keep that in mind. Diglett is banned. Diglett is banned. Lunoon is moved. We're going to be having some more details on if it's going to be useful or not. Meanwhile, I have over here Bloody.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and get started. So, question one. How could you? I hear about people trying to progress in their breeding. For instance, like getting 31s. Like, how did you get your breeders? Did you have to progress your breeders gradually? Like, for instance, get better and better and better ones?
Well, it's an MMO, so in my case, even coming late into the breeding, there were options available to just buy, and it's the fastest to simply pay for good breeds than it would be to spend the time in actually breeding them from scratch. However, I can still teach breeding from scratch, it's faster for me to buy the good breeders because the MMO has existed for a while.
Alright, so, speaking about that, I would like to ask you this. Some people, I tell people, never gonna try to teach people how to play comp. Try to make sure that your speed is always 31. Now, as a breeder, I noticed that there are a lot of 5x31s, 6x31s in the market, but what 6x or what 5x or 6x31 Pokemon are demandable? Because I've seen everything in the market, like from Spinda to Mareep to pretty much any.
Basically, anything you see in the market is demandable. Breeders have to adjust to the market.
Yes, and now I want to ask about like certain Pokemon, like what Pokemon are more demandable. Like if there was a 6x31 Smeargle, what would be more demandable? 6x31 Smeargle or a 6x31 Mareep?
Well, Smeargle is almost always demanded just because of the fact that you can use it to breed moves over to other Pokemon.
Yes, and the reason why I ask this is because there was a person that actually sold a shiny Mareep, or not shiny Mareep, sorry, a 6x31 Mareep for 10 mil. Now, how much like 5x31s or 6x31s? How much money should people spend on those breeders, and what should be the maximum budget on how much you spend on a breeder?
I don't really know that there is one, because it is basically supply and demand, and 6x31 is the best breeder you can have. Therefore, it will make you more money than you spend on it easily after a few days.
Alright, so I do have another question. I mean, with breeding, like, so some people may have like a Pokemon that's not really the best breed, but it's an adamant breed, like adamant or something like that. It's not really the best breed. Um, like I noticed that they're still in demand though, however, and you can sell them to people in like either like Island 4 that they're just getting used to breeding, or you can sell them um, at the Elite Four. So, what Pokemon?
Well,
Sorry.
it's not just the Elite Four, it's also the demand for Trainer Tower. Trainer Towers don't need as good of a Pokemon for comp, but they'll still use them.
Yes.
That is a big part of my sales as a starting breeder. But when I have the good breeds, like right now, currently, I'm breeding Bagons and Heracrosses. Heracrosses, I don't need to worry about their special attack at all. Where Bagons, depending on what nature they have, can run special attack moves, and most will.
Like for instance, Fire Blast on Salamence, because Salamence can actually counter like Fortress, Skymory if it just has Fire Blast, right?
Yes, and a lot of people like to run tanky. I'm an adamant person myself, because I'd rather get through walls than create them, but that's personal opinion, and as a breeder I have to look at all opinions regardless.
So, if someone asked you, hey, go ahead and breed me a adamant hidden power flying Salamence, how much does a hidden power flying Salamence cost in the market? Because I know some people actually want to purchase that because it's much more powerful than Wing Attack.
Well, hidden power flying is one of the most powerful, and people love it as an adamant. And I just today was offered 300k for one that wasn't the greatest IV'd, but was still hidden power adamant flying. I
Nice.
didn't actually take it because I had to confirm the hidden power and it was not flying, but the offer was still pretty set for one that just had above 27 plus on all stats. Hidden power adamant flying was what they were looking for.
Nice. So in other words, as long as Salamances have good IVs and a good nature, people are going to want Salamence for a high price, even if it doesn't have hidden power flying, is what you're saying, right?
Hidden power flying is actually going to be one of the biggest things that are more of a challenge for breeders, but it is what makes them worth a lot more to people who actually use them in comp. The best Salamence out there right now, in my opinion, for adamant breed would be a 530, 131 Salamence hidden power flying, because the only way to get 31 speed with hidden power flying is to have 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 31. And the other way to get it is to not have 31 speed, which is the way that I would probably run it, is 31, 31, 31, 30, 30, 30. Because that is the way that I feel is slightly better, but people have their own opinion and I have mine. And a majority of opinion goes towards 530, 31 versus my opinion of 331, 330 of what is the best Salamence out there for adamant right now.
Alright. And how about the other dragon, Dragonite? Does Dragonite get a little bit of some love too at the moment?
Yes, currently not from me, just because I don't have a female for my Dratini. I do have a good male with breeder moves already attached male, but I don't have the female yet, so I am not leaning towards breeding it until I get a good female for it.
Alright. And are people also wanting hidden power flying on Dragonite as well? Or not as much?
I personally only check with things that I'm currently breeding. I can't tell you the hidden powers that they want for it if I'm not breeding it, basically.
All right. And how about um you were touching on Heracross earlier. Um like do people like what hidden power do people want on Heracross?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
People do not run hidden power on Heracross.
Nice. So in other words, people aren't as picky.
They really aren't, and it is, in my opinion, a fun market to go into, especially for beginners, because all people really want with Heracross is okay IVs everywhere else, but they want 31 attack and 31 speed. And that is it. That is all they really look for. Of course they want high HP, defense, and special defense. Special attack never mattering, because they don't run any special attack moves. But that is how people love their adamant Heracrosses. And that is the market that I'm trying to get into. I currently, right now, I'm running 431 breeders, but I'm gonna get a hold of a 531 soon. So that is the market that I'm going to get into in the near future. A bit more.
Nice. That's a nice market.
The nice part about it is that you just need to breed adamant, whichever stone helps you get to on your adamant male or female that you're using. Plus all you need is 31 attack and speed, and then the rest is all bonus. Because automatically 31 attack and speed adamant will go anywhere from 100 to 150 easy.
Ooh. Oh my gosh. That's expensive. Your poor man over here. I don't know. I don't think I can afford that. Woo. But I also see some people, as far as breeders, I noticed that people like jump on like Gyarados. They just love 5x31 Gyarados, 6x31s. I've seen them all over the market, like just Gyarados breeders. Why do so many people love the 5x or 6x31 Gyarados? Does Gyarados cover a lot of egg groups?
Well, Gyarados covers only its own egg group. Obviously, each Pokemon has their own egg group that they're in, but Gyarados covers a lot of the Dragon's egg groups. But the fun part about Gyarados is that there are a lot available because someone mass-produced them, and that's why they're being jumped on. If the same thing happened for just about any Pokemon, 6x31 is going to be jumped on. But the fun part about the Gyarados being jumped on is someone has done that with Adamant Gyarados, which is actually what I'm gonna that's what I'm gonna switch over to using when my friend is done breeding theirs. They said that they'll let me borrow their Adamant 5x31 with a 30 Gyarados and it's adamant, so I mean that's gonna be perfectly run for my breeding with my Bagons.
And I heard that so many people jump on hidden power flying Gyarados. They literally want hidden power flying on Gyarados. Do people think like, hidden power flying on Gyarados and its attack stat really high, hidden power flying is going to hit hard. So knowing that, is it kind of hard to breed a hidden power flying Gyarados for all the requirements for it?
Well, the requirements basically just require high IV, and it is and it isn't. Any hidden power is technically hard to breed. You have a 1 in 12 shot about to try and breed any hidden power specifically. So, I mean, it is hard, but you'll hit it every once in a while, and when you do, it's worth a lot. So, it depends on how fast you're taking out babies, but I mean, you can get a hidden power flying once or twice a day, if not faster, depending on how you try and set up your IVs. But it's a little bit luck-based, and you have to sort of deal with that. as a breeder.
All right, and uh, here's another question. Are you also planning to sell? I noticed that the D's are also on demand. Sub-disabled Gengars. Are you making those sets as well?
Me personally, no. I've looked into it, and there are 2 different tactics that Gengar can run. So I'm going to soon get a hold of some Ghastlies that are great for breeding, because they're in my team. It's just someone's using them currently because they're trying to create a comp. And so I know I'm gonna probably end up wanting 2 Gengars myself when I create my own comp. So I'll get a hold of those eventually and start breeding them. Sub-disabled Gengars are a lot on the market, so I mean, the supply is there. There's not actually that as big of a demand as you would think because the supply is there. It's more people have bred a lot and it is becoming a little bit overbred, so it will stop being bred so much unless if someone decides to keep breeding it, which would be a bad move by this point, because there are a lot there right now. And that's why you're seeing a lot of it, is because it is out in the market and it is there. Not because it's wanted so much, but because it's not selling. Because multiple people are touching into that field.
Alright, so I've also seen a lot of I noticed that in the market. I've been looking on Trade Chat, and I've seen a lot of Hidden Power Grass Jolteon, but yet at the same time, people are not breeding Hidden Power Ice Jolteon. Like, what are people thinking? Like, the market for Hidden Power Ice Jolteon is very, very powerful. Why aren't people jumping on that more often?
Well, you're talking about breeding the Hidden Powers again. Hidden Powers are based off IVs, yes. So you can guarantee you have a 50% chance of getting a Hidden Power just from how you breed it, but it's still hard to hit because the other 50% chance is, the other part of the 50% chance is completely random. And so it's basically hitting IVs even and odd, and hitting them certain ways will affect the Hidden Power, where hitting them other ways won't too much. But the IVs vary from 3 to 8, meaning you can either go up 3 or down 8 or anything in between, even staying the same. And all that matters is the even and odd part of it. So the closest you can get to actually getting an IV that you would be good would be if you're going for an odd IV. Technically having 31 would be the prime for it, because then when it goes down 8, you have more of a chance. You have what is it? Real quick mental math. You have 58% chance versus having 50% chance of getting the Hidden Power you want. And therefore it is a slight difference, but it's not too big of a difference. And so it's still really hard for that extra other 50% to end up on what you want, because you're basically pulling a 1 in 6 chance after the 58%. So I mean, it's really hard to breed Hidden Powers in my opinion, because in the end you're doing about an 8.5% chance to breed any Hidden Power out specifically. And that's even when you're trying for a Hidden Power as a breeder. That's why a lot of people will breed a lot and then they'll just sell the ones that are Hidden Power, and they'll sell the other ones later on to like people who don't really care. Or some breeders have a release policy that I don't actually follow, because I would rather sell them for cheapish than worry about personal view of it.
All right, yeah, I mean, um, hidden power. You're right. Hidden power is very hard to breed for, and that's probably why not many hidden power Pokemon are in the market. Meaning that if you do have a specific hidden power, and if you don't need a Pokemon like for instance, if you have two really good hidden power Ghost, um, Earth Strings for an example, um,
Then they're gonna sell fast, and that's why they're not in the market, because all they need is like 3 posts and then they're gone.
yeah, definitely, yeah, like there's not that much supply, so there's a lot of demand on that. So, and back then, also I remember back then Hidden Power Ghost Breelooms used to sell a lot. I mean, oh, yeah, I'm looking at I'm trying to make sure that my viewers look at the Pokedex, so I'm not going to AFK anytime soon. Sorry about that. But yeah, back then, I'm not sure if you were there, but Breloom used to sell really well with Hidden Power Ghosts. It used to go for about 1 mil approximately. And now, since the sleep nerf and all that, now Breloom's not being used that much. Now, what type of fighting type do people demand now, other than Breloom? Because I know that Breloom's not being asked for anymore. Like, what fighting type do people ask for in the breeding market?
Is this OU or UU, or which one is this? Sorry.
OU.
This was OU?
Yes, but back then Breloom used to be the one to go to, like Hidden Power Ghost. But eventually, due to the sleep nerf, meaning that back then we used to have 5 turns of sleep, and now thanks to the sleep nerf, we only have 1 to 3 turns of sleep. That means Breloom can't set up. So I'm looking right now at Machamp. Now, what replaced Breloom in the market? A good fighting type. Machamp, is Machamp good as far as a fighting type? Is Machamp in demand?
I haven't seen much Machamp demand. That's just me barely watching the market, though. I mostly focus on my own thing. Like, as a breeder, I kind of have my own little corner of the market that I corner in. Because breeding is a lot about doing the market, so what you want to do is you don't want to go over the market. You want to do a few select things, and you want to do them well.
Yes, especially like if you're trying to sell something, then you should focus on what you're selling or what you're buying, or otherwise you'll get distracted and you'll just be like,
well, the thing is that you have breeders, like your Pokemon. You have to get a hold of good IV breeders, and doing that can take a while. I mean, yes, once you're more into breeding, you'll be better, and you probably won't even need the advice I'm giving. But when you're starting off is probably when you need most of the advice, and when you're starting off breeding, you can only get a hold of a few good breeders because breeders cost quite a bit.
oh yes.
So getting a hold of breeders is just... that's the hard part, in my opinion.
Oh yes, especially in this day and age where good breeders are very expensive. Now I sort of want to ask, not so much about Pokemon now as far as breeding, but I want to ask about the lesser known subject, IVs. And IVs and EVs are special only to Poke MMO. So for anyone that's playing, oh no, it isn't.
No.
What other games have the IVs and EVs?
IVs are hidden in the normal game. You do not get to see them. And therefore, if you wanted to attain them, you would have to do a bunch of calculations that are given to you for free in PokeMMO. And that is why IVs are not known as much. EVs, on the other hand, have always been known. In the newer games, EV training is a breeze, and I personally don't like that fact. In the older games, you would have to grind, and your EVs weren't shown to you, but people still knew about them.
Like, did people know that there was a limit of 252 EVs that you could put in a stat?
Yes, people knew that, and people knew that each Pokemon gave X amount of EVs.
Alright.
And it's just, it wasn't known to casual players, it was more competitive players that knew about those.
And then, for instance, do EV trainer or EV training, did people know that there was a limit of 510 EVs you can put in each stat, or no?
Well, you asked, do people know? I mean, if you're a casual player, you didn't even know EVs existed. If you're a competitive player, you knew that there was a limit. Whether you knew how much or not, that's just depending on how competitive you actually got. People probably knew, but that was more because they came up with a method of showing it, which even on Cerebi.net you can see how much each Pokemon individually gives EV-wise. And there's a method for showing it as well, so each Pokemon giving EVs was always a thing. It's just what they gave and everything was semi-hidden. You could always look at your stats and see what they gave as you battled, but if you didn't know that it took 4 EVs per point, then you would just be like, oh, this Pokemon gives nothing, but once you battled a bit more, you would realize 1 out of 4 times of battling this Pokemon, I get 1 stat point in this. 4 out of 4, or 2 out of 4. When I battled this Pokemon twice, though, this different Pokemon, I got this. Oh, if I put a Macho Brace on, which Macho Brace is a good example of it existed before. When you put a Macho Brace on, that just increases the speed of your EV training. That existed even in the first generation.
Nice.
But when you put the Macho Brace on, it just doubles the speed of EV training. There are other braces and stuff like that for the future games and stuff, but Macho Brace is the one that we're dealing with in PokeMMO.
Alright. So, as far as... I want to go to IVs, sort of, like
yes, IVs I can go in depth on.
Yes.
Because IVs are new to a lot of people.
Yes. And, like, people are like, whenever they first go, whenever people see IVs, they're like, whoa! And then all of a sudden they read this description, which basically is like, okay, this description, eh.
Basically, the description says that it's inherited from a Pokemon's parents. What it basically means is that when it is born, its IVs are technically locked in. However, the calculator cannot calculate the IVs until you put more points in, until you either EV train the stat or you... Hang on, I just got disconnected from the game.
Oh no, wait.
Okay.
No, wait. I got disconnected too. Sorry about that. Well, we'll be back. Let me just pause the film.
Microphone.
We got disconnected. Don't worry. So, as far as IVs are concerned, like I noticed that whenever you hatch a baby, it's like always 031. Like, people wonder how how you able to mess with the IVs in a way where you can tell the average range, like for instance like 2230, or I mean, for instance, I'm showing my Dragonite and it's right now locked in since it's like level 919. It's all my IVs already locked, but like for instance, if you look at the defense, it might be 031 or 031.
Here,
like,
this is one that I was recently breeding. Let me whisper it to you. It
All right.
just hatched a little while ago, and I got it to level 12. I'll use this one as an example. Okay,
Alright.
so as a breeder, I know its parents. Its mom and its dad are basically, let's see, do I have them open? No, I do not have the mom open. Crap, that's gonna make it hard. Minimize this. Hang on a second. Okay, well, given its parents, I've concluded the male is this. No, that's the wrong one, isn't it? Yes, it is. Hang on a second, that's not the right one. Ugh, I should have had this prepared.
Hey, it's alright. Pretty much, your parents are, like, if...
Your parents do have a big influence on your IVs and EVs, as well as your nature, if you're holding an Everstone, and your IV, or I said EVs, didn't I? Oops, not EVs. Just your IVs and your nature and your ability. Ability is not as potent. People don't recognize it so much for most breeds, but it does affect it. I'm not actually too worried about it with most of the breeds that I do, so I cannot talk too much about it because I haven't actually decided to study it. But my male that I'm currently using has the IVs of that. I just whispered it to best friends.
Alright, so let me go ahead and type in the male. It's an adamant Salamence. The HP is 28, and the attack is 31, defense 31, special attack 27, special defense 31, and speed 29. And the female?
The female I actually kind of got rid of because I figured out what I needed to when it came down to my stats, but I can refigure it out if I get a minute.
Alright.
And basically you're going to have what I call a base. I don't know if anyone else uses that term, so semi-trademark. Your base is going to look sort of like this, because this is my base Bagon. That is my base Bagon. Basically, any baby that I make from my male and my female will have 3 of those stats. Automatically.
Nice. So 3 from the male and 3 from the... I will
explain how the calculations come out, and no, it is not 3 from the male and 3 from the female. That is something that some people get a little bit confused about. I will explain how the calculations come out in just a minute when I get this all set up, which I should have had set up before. Okay. I show that as my base Bagon, which it will have 3 stats from. Technically, knowing my parents, because that is my base Bagon, I do +3 and -8 to each stat, which gives me this. That is the range for all my Bagon's babies, before I even breed them.
So basically, it's let me just can you say that in normal chat, because I'm not too sure if my recording is cutting out all your IV calculation Can you say that in normal chat, just so people can see?
Okay, well my base Bagon is decided on basically my female's IVs and my male's IVs. Each one, so I go to HP, I know my female's IVs and I know my male's IVs. In this case, I know my female was 31. I don't have it written down right now, but 31 plus 28. Well, it's an odd number, so basically I'll subtract 1 after I add them up, because that just makes it easier on me. So it ends up being 59, so I'll subtract 1 before I divide by 2, which ends up being 29. 29 is the first number I put in for my base Bagon. 29 plus 3 is 32, which max is 31. And I also subtract 8, so lowest it can be is 21. That becomes the first set for my Bagon. So now I know any baby that I have will be anywhere between 21 to 31 HP. However, if it is 29, then that is the constant stat, because there will be 3 constant stats in the baby. I do that for each of them, so in this case I know that my attack from my female was 31 because my base was 31, which I calculated earlier and kinda deleted my female's stats. So my base was 31 and my male was 31, so that's the only way to get your base as 31 is if you have a 31 female and a 31 male together. So the base for my attack is 31. That means that the lowest I could possibly get on my attack is 23, and it will have a 50% chance of automatically being 31, on top of a 25% chance of being 31 out of if it is not 31 from constant. Because it has the 8 to 3, actually no, scratch that, that's 33% chance, not 25% chance. So, because it has 8 to 3, so basically what happens is a dice is rolled between 1 and 12, in simple terms, basically, and if it's like, if it's in 10 or above, no, 9 or above, then I automatically get to stay at 31, because that's 0, 1, 2, and 3. But if it's 8 or below, then I'll drop accordingly. So suppose I ended up getting -8 because I got like a 1, then my attack would be 23. And that is how the base is basically set up. Most people don't really calculate out their base, however I like to do it as a indicator for myself as a breeder, because then I know what my worst can be and what my best can be. Like, I cannot possibly breed a 631 from these two. The best I could possibly breed is I can breed a 431 with 2 30s. No, 130 and 129. But obviously if I breed that, then I can easily just throw that in instead of my lower breeder and make my constant raise, because I've just replaced one of my breeders. And I would redo the calculations from there.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, the breeding, I assume takes a lot of mathematics. Now, I mean, it takes a lot of mathematics in general. Now, I heard that there is a way how you can expose the IVs without having to level up a Pokemon. Like, for instance, the EV, like if you EV something on a multiple of 4, then that means you'll change the IV in that certain department, right?
There's a way to adjust, or to speed up the IVing, which is, like you said, EVing a stat. So basically, if I were to go ahead and get my attack EV, and on my Bagon, go ahead and go to the Parises at the bottom of Mount Moon, just keep battling them and get my attack stat up. then my IV would calculate more accordingly because of how the calculator works out, and it will get me a more definite answer.
Like for sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Like, sorry. For instance, like if you were to battle Paris with holding the Macho Brace, and then you get 12. Like I heard that it only happens if you get the EV spread at a multiple of 4, meaning that you have to get either 4 attack stat, 8 attack stat, or 12 attack stat, or any multiple of 4. Right? Am I correct on that?
Yes, because your stats will not increase or decrease until you get an EV multiple of 4. And that is just EV training in general. You have to have a multiple of 4. I consider EV training and breeding 2 separate things, in my opinion, which is something that you may want to find just an EV trainer to do a different interview. I do know how to EV train, and I basically just use a website as a base for how to do it easiest.
Well, actually, I actually know a little bit about EV training because I EV train Pokemon because I think it's fun. But generally, EV, I can. This is probably another video, but yeah. Let's go to breeding here. For the moment being, but EV training, I'm just gonna put it in simple terms. If you want HP, go to the moat at Island 6 where Whopper and Meryl is. Attack.
Yes.
Go to Mount Moon, or if you want it to go faster, go to Fetch City over to the place where you fish. I don't recommend that because there's Psyducks there too, and you can make those faint, which then would bring up your special attack. And if you don't want to bring up your special attack, then
that's especially not for adamant.
Yeah. And then defense. Sorry.
It'll cost you some berries to bring that back down.
Oh yeah, and each berry costs 1k, by the way. But
how much stats does that bring down? Because I'm actually a little curious on that.
Oh yeah, actually, it brings down 10 stats each time, and and like the defense you can train at Tangela Patch, and
yes.
And special attack you can train that at Lavender Town at the place where you heal by that mysterious square looking thing where the older lady is.
Where the old lady says that she has cleansed this area. Yes.
Yeah.
That is a good spot for that as well.
Yeah, and special defense you can EV train pretty much anywhere in the ocean. Just
anywhere there's tentacles.
Yeah, tentacruels.
However, I recommend just underneath Pallet Town because you'll get low levels and you won't level as fast. However, if you're trying to level, then try and go to a higher level area.
Yeah, well, actually, whenever I EV train, for special defense, I usually like going near the battle tower. The reason why I say that is because I like the convenience there because there's a Poké Center and then there's a PC. Just in case I want to EV train something else in special defense, I can go to the battle tower just north of the place where I'm EV training, and I can just recover and get my next Pokemon. So
yeah, I just take Fly.
Yeah.
It seems easiest.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the battle tower because, like not only do you get Tentacool, but you can also get Tentacruel, and you can get Manentine. And actually, that's 100%. That's 100% encounter rate actually of special defense EV. And for speed, if you want speed, go to Route 1 during daylight, and at night you might want to check out the Diglett Cave. However, the Diglett Cave you do need to be careful with because Diglett does have Arena Trap. So
why would you need to be careful with Arena Trap?
It's because, let's just say, for instance, you have an Electrode or Voltorb and it became nighttime. There's no other place to EV train for speed. There's only one place to EV train at, Diglett Cave. However, there's a problem. You have Digletts with Arena Trap. So with that being said, just try to be careful where you EV train. And if you have an electric type
right. Yeah, you're talking about EV training one at a time.
Yeah.
See, me personally, I would rather just get a hold of a few different experience shares and EV train a full party at once.
Alright, sure, yeah. I usually like EV training one at a time because
then you can macho brace, yeah.
Yeah, I love macho bracing.
Yeah, I'm more of a fan of experience share because you don't need to macho brace. And on top of that, you can just simply use either a Pokemon that you want to EV train, or you can use, what I like to do is use Persian and just Payday. Make money while you're EV training.
Oh yeah.
And it's just a nice little addition. And then on top of that, you're EV training 5 different Pokemon at once, and they're all EV training at the same speed, so you'll be done all at once, and that's just how I like to run it.
Alright. And
Not to mention that stops their leveling fast, because a lot of people don't like to level when they EV train.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so like for instance, if you need to change an EV, that could sometimes be a problem, right? Well, because you're trying to basically level up, and you're not trying to hit above 50, because once you hit above 50, then the EVs don't matter, basically.
No, the EVs don't matter. It's just you're no longer running for comps where you don't use the tournament style.
Yeah, that's true.
Then you're not 50 locked.
Yeah. And also I want to show something here on the frequently asked questions. If you need any questions about, like, here, I'll even look. You start on this page, and you go down, and where you see Pokemon forms, just go over here, and there's all the berries. So if you need a berry, there it is. Each stat will lower by 10 if you buy one berry. 1K for one berry. In Saffron City at Channel 1. In fact, I did a previous video, or actually...
Doesn't matter what channel.
Yeah, that doesn't matter what channel, but I did a video on this a while ago, and I actually walked all the way to Saffron City. And it's just at the market. It's at the market, and you can buy the berry from the guy to the north. So, yeah. EV training, not as easy as you think it is. If you EV train over a stat, like for instance, like some Pokemon have specific EV yields, like for instance, like if you wanted like 252 HP, then 128 attack, 128 special attack, and if you go 160, then you have to be kind of careful, because then you have to buy berries, and then you got to EV train that. So in other words, try to be wary. Look at the EV train window every now and then, And that's...
Unless you're just going for two 252s with a 6, then you're perfectly fine. But yeah, when you do want to cap it, you want to try and pay attention to where you're at. Although generally the caps happen in speed and attack and HP. Because some people like to get all 3 of those, and to get all 3 of those you need to cap it at some point. As well as if you do cap it, you want to have it at a viable point to where it's still competitive. That's why people choose their capping based on other Pokemon's base speed and how much they think they'll be EV trained.
Alright.
So choosing your cap is very how do I word this? Unique depending on Pokemon.
Alright.
And which one you're trying to counter.
Yeah, and last but not least, I do want to ask about this because it has been on the market for a while, and I'm not sure if you noticed this, but how hard is it to breed for Blissey? This is my last question, but because I noticed how some people are selling it for 150k, 200k with natural cure. Have you ever had like a Blissey? Do you have breeders for a Blissey as far as like trying to sell natural cure Blissey?
No, I don't have breeders for a Blissey, but generally when it comes to a Pokemon that is hard to find in the wild, it will, even in MMOs, it will hardly ever get too good of IVs that come out, and when it does, people will hoard them, or only sell them for comp, or only sell one gender. And that is a smart trick on the breeder's part, because if they only sell one gender, and they only sell it to their team for comp, if they get rid of their ones that the gender that they're not selling to their team, while selling the ones that they are selling around to everyone else, then basically what you'll have is you'll be the only one who will be able to breed Blissies and be able to successfully have good IV Blissies. Now, there are a few people that are able to breed them, but the supply actually isn't there right now. So people are not breeding enough Blissies right now for there to be a big supply and a big stockpile.
Yes.
And so that is why it is not for sale so much. And when it is for sale, it's going for high prices, is because someone felt like starting a bidding war. They could probably get more than they're originally posting as an offer.
Alright.
Which is something that I've done a few times, because bidding wars are fun.
Alright, sure. Yeah, and I do want to note something. First of all, for Sophie, I'm kind of sorry. You came a little bit late on.
She walked in, and then she walked out.
Yeah, she.
No. In the video.
Well, yeah, not only that, but also she PM'd me if she can attend the interview. It came a little bit late. I just have to say that. And before we close today, I would like to say, Blood White Wolf, thank you very much for attending this interview, and don't forget, Roy Rogers alert: Lunoon is now moved. Diglett now banned. Those are the two headlines, and we have our breeder. And thank you, Blood White Wolf, for attending our interview.
You're welcome.
Well,
sorry if some of the things doesn't make sense. You sort of have to look into it yourself. You need to see a little bit more solidified.
Yeah, I mean, it's alright. I mean, not everyone's the best at breeding. Let's just say that. Breeding is not my department. I'm more into EV training. EV training is really...
Well, I see EV training as a lot easier than breeding in my opinion, because EV training you can easily look online and find all the spots for. You can simply ask people who need it, and people will need it because they're buying things from breeders and they need EV trained after they buy them. So you do have a market for that.
Not a big one, though.
There's a big market, you just also have to have connections.
Yeah, that's true.
I actually probably could go into the EV training market. And if I did, I would probably dip my own breeds into it. Like, if I were going to do attack and speed, which is basically what adamant is needed, I'll probably just throw in my own Bagons and Heracrosses in there, since that's what I'm breeding is mostly adamant. And then that will increase their value because they'll be already EV trained when I go to sell them.
Alright, sure. Yeah.
Besides the fact that EV training defines their stats.
Yes.
Which is something most people forget when they go to breeding.
Alright. Well, Blood White Wolf, thank you. Thank you for attending this interview. I really do appreciate this. Like I said, Alatea has a very busy schedule, so she was unable to attend the interview. So yeah.
And you gotta watch your wording.
Yes. Anyway.
Just a little bit sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And
He's embarrassed on his own YouTube channel just for the Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, this is the Roy Rogers channel coming in. Please comment or subscribe to my channel, like or dislike the content that you see here. Remember, Lunoon got moved, Diglett got banned. We're gonna be asking questions for TJ and Yetodai. If you all can think about any questions, please put it down below in the comments.